Hi everyone, this is Mrs. Lee Chan. Welcome to my Form 5 Accounting lesson number 19. Today is 7th May 2020. Alright, so we will do one DSE question in 2018. So this question covers two chapters, which are limited company and correction of errors. Okay, so here is the question given to us. And then we have the retained profits. So again, look at the dates. So the dates is also the last dates of the statement of financial position. So that means this is closing retained profits. Okay, so there are two things we have to do. Part A here, to prepare the necessary journal entries. And after that, we have to prepare the statement of financial position for Bright Company Limited. So therefore, here I have my answer. For Part A, the journal entries for showing the adjustments. And later on, this is the statements of financial position. We always start with a nice heading with the name of the company, and then assets, non-current assets, current assets, and don't skip description for this figure, total figure, which is total assets. And after that, no more capital for limited company. Capital changed to equity, equity and liability. So we have this equity. Okay, so in this question, we only have two things for equity, which are share capital, retained profit. So later on, we have lots of workings affecting the calculation of retained profit. So we are going to show workings later on. Okay, and after that, the second half of the final total. So which are total equity and liabilities. Once again, don't skip this description. Okay, and after that, we are going to show workings. So, and here is the workings to show the adjusted retained profits. So we start with this closing retained profits from the trial balance before adjustments and after adjustments. Okay, we will get this adjusted retained profit. So you will see this 690,539 will be the one for this adjusted retained profits. Okay, so point number one, we have this bad debts of 9,700 had not been recorded in the books. So this is error of omission. Therefore, this is the rough work. So what is the double entry for bad debt written off? We debit bad debts and credit trade receivable. All right, so, but the point is, if you show your answer, if you debit your bad debts, then your answer will be wrong. Because where is bad debts if you look at the trial balance? So you don't see any income statement, is that right? And bad debts should be a kind of expense in the income statement. So therefore, the correct answer should be included in this retained profits. Okay, so after the adjustments, therefore, the answer for point number one should be retained profits. And then you credit trade receivable. Again, this is very, very important, okay, because bad debts being included in the closing retained profits, okay? Therefore, after this double entry, so you debit retained profit, okay, and then you can go to your workings for retained profit. So just now we already have workings for retained profit. If you debit, which is negative, so we less bad debts omitted. This is from point number one, and then we have 9,700. Okay, and then credit trade receivable. So here, current assets, we have this trade receivable. To start with the original figure, now we minus 9,700 for bad debt written off. Okay, so next we have point number two here. So saying that allowance for doubtful accounts had been provided at 2%, would be increased to 3%. Okay, after a review of the economic environment. So to analyze this point two, let us go back to this trade receivable. So this is a net figure 294,000. Okay, let me draw you a diagram here to analyze the situation. So this is the wrong entry done. So I have my trade receivable and then less allowance. So the wrong figure is the wrong percentage is 2%, and in the trial balance we have this 294,000. So I put 294,000. Okay, if this is 2%, therefore, so what is the percentage left for this figure? That will be 98%. Okay, so how do you get the original trade receivable in that case? You get your calculator to get the original one. So you need to put this 294,000 divided by 98%, because that is equivalent to 98%. So the original one is trade receivable. Before deducting any allowance would be 300,000. Okay. However, this 300,000, if you go back to point number 1, which was before bad debts written off for this 9,700, so that's the analysis for correct double entry would be this. So 300,000, this is before. I need to minus 9,700. Okay, so this is minus 9,700. So I get this 290,300. Okay, and what is the correct percentage? The correct percentage should not be 2%, however, it should be 3%. So how much is 3% on this adjusted trade receivable? So times 0.3, therefore I have this 8,709. Okay, and then there is no bad debt written off originally, so I just simply put 300,000, and this is 2%, so 300,000 times 0.2, so this is 6,000. Okay, now we have enough information to correct the mistake, so that the allowance for doubtful debts being 6,000 done in the books, which is not correct. So this one should be the correct one. So how do we change from 6,000 to 8,709? That means we need to do increase in allowance for doubtful debts. So the usual double entry will be debit profit and loss, and then credit allowance for doubtful debts by the change. So that will be the closing 8,709 minus 6,000. So we do it step by step. So 2,709 and then 2,709. All right. However, if you show your answer as this profit and loss account, once again, it will be wrong. So where is profit and loss being included in retained profits? Okay, and one more point I have to remind you. So we need to follow the name, always follow the name given to us in the question, so that the name should be allowance for doubtful accounts. So what is the answer to point number 2? So here is the answer to point number 2. We debit retained profit instead by the change, and then we credit allowance for doubtful accounts by the change, and the effects. So therefore the effects in the adjustment for retained profit. So debit means we have to minus this increase in allowance for doubtful accounts. So this is related to point number 2. Again by the change. And also credit allowance for doubtful accounts. So that's affecting the current assets as trade receivable, because net means we have to minus allowance for doubtful accounts. So this is all the adjustments related to point 2. So I can use my calculator to get the answer. 94,000 minus bad debt written off and 2,709. Okay, so the adjusted trade receivable, the net figure 281,591. Okay, so next we have point number 3. All right, so we have this, an invoice for a staff training program of 80,000 for 10 lessons was received, and the amount was to be settled in the coming year, 2018. All right, so what is the purpose for this training program? Because we spend money to train our staff. We want our staff to do better so that we can have higher productivity, things like that, okay? And saying that the first 4 lessons were conducted in 2017, while the remaining 6 lessons will be conducted in the coming year. So no entries were made in the books for all this. So here is the analysis. Okay, related to point number 3, here is the timeline. We are doing everything in 2017, and this stuff, we spent money on this staff training cost for 10 lessons, altogether 80,000, but however, only 4 lessons incurred. Okay, and these 6 lessons related to next year. Okay, we don't need to worry anything about this. But anyway, for the one incurred in 2017, we need double entry. Okay, so we will have this in the profit and loss account, a kind of expense. We call that staff training costs. All right, and then we pay no money for this. So what do you call this? Expenses accrued, which will be current liability, so that you check So what should be the related item for the expenses not yet paid? Now here we have accrued expenses, so that we credit accrued expenses. And how much being incurred? So that would be total 80,000 altogether for 10 lessons. So divided by 10, and then we only concern 6 lessons for the year. So 80,000 times 4 divided by 10. So that would be 32,000. That would be 32,000. Right, that's okay. But be careful when you show your answer. So if you debit profit and loss once again, it will be wrong. Okay, so it should change. You have to change that to retained profits. Okay, so therefore your answer to part A, you have to change profit and loss to retained profit by 32,000. And since this expense is not yet paid, we credit accrued expenses by only 4 lessons, so 32,000. Okay, then you can go to your statements showing adjusted retained profits. So we debit means we minus staff training cost omitted 32,000 and credit accrued expenses. So that would be the current liabilities. For accrued expenses, we start with the original figure and then plus another 32,000. Therefore, you get total accrued expenses as this 94,700. Okay, so next, be very, very careful about point number 4 because this is a very tricky point, okay? So we have this, the balance of suspense account related to an advance payment of management fees. So we need to pay money for management fees, and management fees is a kind of expenses in the income statement, and then we pay in advance. That means we have prepaid expenses for the coming year. And then the bookkeeper wrongly debited the same amount both to the cash at bank account and the management fees account in this year. And then look at this figure, suspense account, which is 14,080. All right, let's analyze it step by step. Okay, so what should be the correct entry? We have advance payment, so we credit cash at bank and debit prepaid expenses. But the point is, should this be the figure, this 14,000 or 80? Okay, we don't know yet. Let's show the wrong entry done as well. Okay, all right, so what is the wrong entry? The firm has debited the same amount both to the cash at bank and the management fees account. So that would be debits cash at bank, and then debit management fees, okay, in 207, and this management fees being expensed in the profit and loss account with the same amount. Okay, and credit what? So if you only debit, if you have only entered the debit side and then you credit nothing, that means this will go to the suspense account. All right, so that I have this suspense as USP and SE with this 14,080, is that right? Okay, so both these two accounts with the same amount, so how much you debit cash at bank? That will be half of this divided by 2. So this is 7,040, 7,040. So therefore, this is a very tricky point in this question. All right, so how much should be the correct amount pay in advance? So that would be 7,040 and prepaid expense 7,040. Okay, so therefore combine these two together, we get the adjustment for correcting the mistake. So we need to cancel suspense account. So how to cancel? Go to opposite side. So debit suspense by the total amount. Okay, and then we need to add this prepaid expense by 7,040. And what else I have to cancel? I need to cancel this. So to cancel this, because it shouldn't be expense in this year, so management fees, so 7,040. Okay, now I look at cash at bank. So how much should be cash at bank? This should be the correct entry. So we have to credit cash at bank by this. However, the wrong entry is debit. So I need to credit cash at bank by 2 times. Cash at bank by 2 times. What is 2 times? So 7,040 times 2. So which is 14,080, right? We do it step by step. But however, be careful when you show answer or when we show answer. So look at this. Wrong. You have to change this to what? Again, to retained profits. Okay, so therefore we have the answer related to point number 4. We debit suspense account, we debit prepaid expenses, and then we credit retained profits, and then we credit cash at bank. Alright, so what happens if we debit suspense account, and therefore for this suspense account on credit side in the trial balance will be cancelled, and then debit prepaid expense, so which is current assets. So here is statement of financial position. We have this prepaid expense 7,040. All right, and credit retained profit means which is positive. So go to statements showing adjusted retained profit. You add management fees, so 7,040. And finally, credit cash at bank. That means we have the minus cash at bank current assets by this 14 and 80. So here is the cash at bank current assets. You start with the original one, and then we minus 14,080. Okay, so how do we correct the mistake? Now for this sales, I have to cancel. So I debit sales by 50,000. Okay, and what else I have to cancel? And then I have to debit accumulated depreciation. All right, by how much? By this amount. So that to put them all together, I need to add this. To cancel this, that is to debit, and debit this, so altogether plus another. Okay, so I have this, and then later on, I have to cancel this depreciation, so I credit depreciation by 12,288, just step by step. Okay, so now here I have done this, and then I debit cash at bank. Oh no, sorry, cash at bank actually. Debit cash at bank 50,000 and debit cash at bank, so that therefore actually we have no mistake. So I cancel out this. Actually, we don't have any mistake in the cash at bank account. So let me check again. So cash at bank, cancel sales, done. So cancel this depreciation and then put together, and debit loss on disposal and 11,440, and then I have to credit motor vehicle by this. Right, okay. Or, so cancel sales and then debit accumulated depreciation with this, and add loss on disposal, cancel depreciation, and like that. So I check whether I have the same answer on debit side and credit side. So that is 50. So I have this, and then credit side. Yes, I get the same amount. All right, so therefore I can have my correction of mistake. However, finally, when you show your answer, be very careful. This one, change it to retain the profit, and what else? And this one, change it to retain the profit, and this one, change it to retain the profit. So therefore, we can combine all this retained profit in one double entry. Okay, so here we have a nice answer for this sales, change that to retain the profit. You can still put your description here, and then accumulated depreciation, retain the profit for loss on disposal, and then credit motor vehicle, and credit retain the profit for depreciation. Okay, so you can see this is exactly same as here. So for the marking scheme, debit retain the profit for sales, accumulated depreciation, retain the profit, loss on disposal, motor vehicle, and retain the profit for depreciation. But what is so important? So all the analysis here, okay, will give you the final answer, how to correct the mistake. You just show it step by step, and whenever we have depreciation, don't forget to draw timeline and adjust it step by step. Okay, so the answer is same, but what you need to do is change all the items in the income statement to retain the profits. Okay, finally, look at the results. Look at the effects affecting the retained profit. So here we debit retained profit, means we have the minus, and then debit this loss on disposal, we need to minus, and then credit is positive, we need to plus this. So therefore, you go to your statements. Here we minus sales overstated, point number 5, and loss on disposal, and then here depreciation overstated. Okay, so right after that, therefore you can get your adjusted retained profit as this 690,539. Okay, and also here, so debit accumulated depreciation. So debit means which is positive to non-current assets. So you add this figure, and then here you minus motor vehicle, go to your non-current assets here. Right, you start with original figure. Okay, so debit is positive and minus this so that you get this figure. Okay, so therefore what's left? So finally, all right, so we still have this inventory. So we have no adjustments affecting inventory. So what do we need to do? Just go to the question. Okay, I'm looking for my question here, and how much is inventory? With no adjustment related to that, so 403, so 403 and 40. Okay, and then also what's left? I have my share capital, so no adjustments. I simply copy share capital. Okay, so let's check. So far we have finished all adjustment related to these 5 points and finish that. Right, let's scan through it. Yes, then we can close in this way and work out total assets, right? Total equity, and here total equity and liabilities, and then they are the same on debit side and credit side. Okay, so that's all about limited company and correction of error. Okay, thank you for watching my video. I'll see you next time. Bye bye.